Good day, ma'am. Good day, sir. We are the Group 1 and 2 here to present some of the data that have been gathered from Barangay Poblacion West. These data include adequate living space, proper lighting and ventilation, types of water supply, source of water supply, water storage, garbage disposal, and drainage system. Adequate living space is necessary in each and every single houses to lessen and to control easily the transfer of communicable diseases among the other member of the family, such as bacterial, viral, fungal, or parasitic infection. To be more specific, it is the diseases such as cholera, common cold, ringworm, Georgia, and many more. So, based on the gathered data, out of 365 houses that had been surveyed, majority of the respondents considered themselves to have an adequate living space, while the small portion considered themselves to have inadequate living space. To be more specific, 338 or 92.6% of the surveyed houses have an adequate living space, while the remaining 27 or the 7.4% does not have an adequate living space, which basically means that communicable and infectious diseases can easily circulate within their place, making the other family member at risk for infection. Proper lighting and ventilation plays a vital role in terms of giving comfort to each member of the family. Proper lighting is beneficial in terms of keeping the place bright and free from harmful bacteria, whereas the ventilation is designated to control the odor and humidity. Additionally, proper lighting promote the health of the eyesight, and the right ventilation control impurity inside our houses. So, based on the stated data, majority of the respondents have a proper lighting and ventilation, while the small proportion consider themselves to have an improper lighting and ventilation. To be more specific, 330 out of 365 or 90.4% of the total surveyed houses are experiencing a proper lighting and a proper ventilation inside their houses, while the remaining 35 or the 9.6% are experiencing inappropriate lighting and ventilation, which means that they are more prone to harmful bacteria, considering that most of the bacteria tend to grow more in a moist, warm, and dark environment.
Water is an inevitable part of everyone's life. Consuming it has an important function in our health. Type of drinking supply was shown in the table, and as it is being shown there, 284 or 77.81% own their water supply, while 69 or 18.9% has a shared water supply, and 12 or 3.29% has bought their water supply. This means that the majority of the population owned their water supply. Water is one of the essentials in the life of every individual. It's just like air or life that we can't live without. Different sources of these life essentials have been surveyed and sorted out from the data taken from the interview. As being shown in the table and graphical illustration, there were 231 households that use pipeline as source of water supply, which is equivalent to 81.34%, and 49 households use pitcher pump, which is equivalent to 17.25%, and 4 households uses Jetmatic as water supply, which equivalents to 1.41%.
Drinking water storage are essential in terms of keeping the drinking water free from any kinds of contamination that may cause certain diseases such as diarrhea, cholera, dysentery, typhoid, and polio. And without the proper intervention, it could be fatal within hours. So, based on the gathered data, out of 365 surveyed houses, majority are using covered storages, while the small proportion are using refrigerated and uncovered water storages. To be more specific, 255 or 69.9% are using covered storages, while 105 or 28.8 are using refrigerated, and the remaining 5 or the 1.4% are using uncovered drinking water storage, which means that they are at higher risk from water contamination and may cause them undesirable health condition that needs an immediate attention from the healthcare professional.
For the methods of garbage disposal, this talks about the different practices that the different families doing in regards on how they dispose their garbage. So, proper disposal of garbages implies a great impact on one's health and most importantly, on the preservation of the environment. Based on the gathered data, out of 365 families, 181 of them said they are covered by the conducting of spontaneous collection of garbage led by the program of their local governments, which covers a percentage of 49.6. While in burning category, there are still families who continue to do it, which is 41.4%. Next is there are a percentage of 5.2 of the families that practice in doing the proper segregation of their waste, while 2.2% of the interviewed families practice open dumping. And next, with composting or burying, there are 1.4%. And lastly, there are only 0.27% of the families who throw their garbage in the river or river sewer. So this means that although burning is prohibited by the government or against the program of law, since we discovered that there are still families continue doing it, it concludes that they are in high risk or they have the possibility to acquire or to have pulmonary diseases because of the effect of burning on their respiratory. Drainage system helps in removing wastewater in different households, and it serves also as an important environmental health interventions for reducing diseases. Based on the gathered data, a majority of the families we've interviewed has an open drainage system, and it covers almost half of the total percentage of 53.1%, which obviously shows that those families are in high risk of acquiring different diseases as caused on having a breeding sites of dangerous insects and microorganisms, while 21.6% families that has closed and proper drainage system, and lastly 24.4% has no and improper drainage system. This means that those families having an open drainage system was more susceptible in acquiring health problems.